Hi, welcome to a advanced tutorial for WP Symposium Pro where we're going to customize the profile page. This area here is what we're going to focus on in this video. The widget area will be covered in a second part of this video, so it's the main part of the profile page. As this is advanced, I'm not going to zoom in and out of the video. I suggest that you watch it full screen and pause it, rewind it, and so on to cover any areas that you missed. So this is more advanced, but I'm going to use the demo site here. I'm just cleaning up the profile page so that I have the default shortcode which is added by Symposium Pro. I'm also switching to text view on the editor, which will make life a lot easier, so I suggest that you do that yourself as well. So the default shortcode added by Symposium Pro gives you a profile page looking like this, and we're going to change it to look like the WP Symposium Pro profile page, which looks like this. So if I go to the edit page on the Symposium Pro website, you can see there's a lot more here, and you can copy it from the video page on the website with the URL shown there. And we're going to go through each of these one at a time. The first one is the profile header image, which people can upload to their site. So I'm going to copy that first line. As I say, you can get that from the Symposium Pro video page yourself, and paste it into my demo site page. It uses the WPS-extended shortcode to show an extended field. The slug of that profile extension is profile header, and I use before and after, which I'll cover in a second, to add a little layout for the profile header image. So that adds that profile extension to our profile page, but it doesn't exist yet. So we need to create the profile extension. And I'm going to create a profile extension called Profile Header, which will allow users to upload an image to their profile page. So give it a name, Profile Header, and add a description. Notice that the slug there created is profile-header, which is exactly what I want. The type of the extension is an image, which gives us more options here. Flipping back to the Symposium site, I'm going to show you how that profile extension has been set up. So choose profile extensions, and I'm going to show you what we have on the Symposium Pro website. Here's the profile header extension, and here the options I've set width of 100% to ensure that the profile image stretches across the screen. So I type in size 100% in the width. The order there is 1, which just puts it at the top of the edit profile page, and I'm going to tick always show. So there I can set my new profile extension on the demo side, order 1, and always show, and publish. So that creates the profile extension for users to be able to upload an image to their profile page. There it is. Type of image, and the slug, just what I want, profile-header. So going back to my page, and as I say, pause, rewind, use this video as a tutorial. Don't just sit there and watch it through. Do shuffle backwards and forwards. But we can see that the profile-header slug is there, and the div I'm using to add a margin of 15 pixels below the image, just to add a little white space below the image and anything else on that page as it builds up. So our profile page now looks like that. There's nothing there. We haven't uploaded a profile image header. But there's the option on our edit profile page now, so I can go ahead and choose an image to upload to my profile page. Just pick an image here at random and update my profile settings and view my profile page, and it will show the image now that I've uploaded to my profile page. So that's all we have at the moment on our profile page. Not very exciting just yet. Going back to the Symposium Pro website and just looking at the profile page, we can now move on to some other aspects of it. And what I'm actually going to do is copy that image because it's not quite as high, and I think I prefer that to be on my profile page. So I go back here, edit my profile page, and replace my profile image with the new one. Of course, users can choose any image they want to show on their profile page. That looks better. Okay, so I'm happy to work with that. So back on the Symposium Pro, we edit the profile page, have a look at the source, again staying in text area, and we're going to show the user's display name. So I'm going to copy that again there from there. You can do that from the video page on the Symposium Pro video tutorials page, and just paste it straight in. Oops, let's put it on a new line. And what I'm doing is using the theme's header 1 style so that it matches the look and feel of the site. You could style that however you want. So I'll save that. View the page. And now I have my display name, Simon G, showing on my profile page. And of course that would match whichever member is logged in looking at their profile page. Right, so let's move on again, and there are a whole bunch of other profile extensions here which we're going to go through and recreate on our demo site. The first one is a label which administrators can add to any individual member. We then have some social icons, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We have a URL for any Symposium websites and an information text area. And looking at those on the Symposium Pro website, we can see that they are all listed there. So member label, this is an admin only one which you can apply as an administrator to an individual member. It's not allowed for individual users because admin only is ticked there under the profile extension setup. So on our demo site, let's add this new extension. We call it member label. Again, remember this is just for administrators to be able to apply to an individual member on your site. I don't know, perhaps they're a VIP member or done something special which you want to highlight. It's going to be text, and we can see here that the order is 0 just to pop it at the top, and admin only is ticked. So pop the order 0 and tick admin only, so only administrators will see this when they edit a member's profile. So I can publish that. Popping back to the profile extensions on the Symposium site, we can see here are 3 social network icons which appear if a user enters a URL into their edit profile page. So let's pick Facebook as a common one. You can see here that it's a type of URL. Opens in a new window, but importantly, if they type in a URL, this featured image will show. So I'm just going to save this image as a copy which we can use on our demo site and go and set up this new extension. So type URL. If they click on it, I want it to open in a new window, so I tick that. Choose the order on the edit profile page. And here I now need to set the featured image, which is the image shown in place of the URL which the user enters. So I'll quickly upload the Facebook icon which I took a copy of and set that as the featured image. I can now publish that. Oh, I didn't enter a title. I want to call this Facebook, and I want to replace that default slug with Facebook. And then just type in a description for the user. So this is creating a new profile extension to allow users to add their own Facebook URL, which will then appear as an icon on their profile page. And there it is, Facebook, type URL, and the slug is Facebook as I want. So looking at my profile page, I now need to put in the shortcode, and just to save time I'm going to copy across that from the Symposium Pro site. Let's go to the profile page and then edit it. In fact, I'll save this as a new tab to save time. So here's the content of my profile page, and there's the member label. copy that across because I've already created that, and I want to copy across the Facebook. So this shortcode will show the profile extension for member label, the admin only one. I'm putting a before and after here, so it wraps it with a div so I can do some styling. If you're used to using CSS, if not, follow through the tutorial, you'll see what I do in a second. And the next extension shortcode is for Facebook, and I'm floating this, moving this to the right hand side of the screen with float right, and I'm putting a little margin to the right of it for some space, which you'll see develop in a second. So I'll update that, view the page. Obviously there's nothing there quite yet, but I can go in and edit the profile, and they're here now. The member label, remember, is shown because I'm logged in as the site administrator. The user wouldn't see this, so this is only for site administrators to be able to use. And I'll just put a label there just as an example. Further down I can see the Facebook profile extension which I've added, prompting me for a URL for Facebook. So I'm just going to quickly go across to my Facebook, and copy the URL for the Symposium Pro page. By all means visit this, please do come along, join up and get involved with that, like it, usual bits and pieces. But there we go, URL for Facebook entered into my profile extension. And now I have the member label showing, which I entered as an administrator, and I have the Facebook icon showing because I entered one, and if I click on it, it shoots off to the Facebook page. Now remember, I wrapped this with a div with before and after. So before will enter this div with an ID of member label, and the after will close that div. Don't forget to close the div, otherwise you'll have layout problems. But I can go to custom CSS here within the Symposium Pro menu, and I can now style that member label to make it highlight. So the ID of that div was member-label, and I'm now using CSS to change the style. As it was an ID, I put a hash. If it was a class, I'd put a dot. If you don't know much about CSS, by all means just copy and paste what we have here. But I'm going to make it stretch across the screen, add a bit of padding, make it a garish yellow and red, and make it bold. And let's have a look how that now looks. Wow. Okay, so that's nice and garish. Layout's not quite happy. I think I want the text centered in that yellow box and a bit of space below it. So I can go in and just add a bit more CSS to that member label to make the text centered in the middle, and let's add 15 pixels underneath it. I do like white space where possible. Okay, so forgetting the colours, that looks better. It now stretches across with a gap below. Let's not worry about the fact that icon is got a gap to the right. I'm going to add more social network icons in a moment, and then we'll play around with the layout. So let's add Twitter and YouTube. So these are two more profile extensions to allow users to enter their Twitter and YouTube URLs. So I can go to Profile Extensions on my demo site, add Twitter. Notice the slug defaults to the title, which is Twitter, which is fine. I want a URL, set the order, open a new window, and I need to set the featured image. So again, just to save time, I'm going to copy the icons that I use on the Symposium Pro website. You could use any image that you want. So edit my profile extension on Symposium Pro, scroll down, and there's the icon that I'm currently using. So I'll just take a copy of that. And while I'm here, I'll also take a copy of the YouTube icon, which we're using to show a link to a YouTube page. Okay, so back to our demo site. This is the Twitter one, so I can now upload the icon that's going to show if somebody enters a Twitter URL. set that as the featured image, and that's all I need to do for Twitter. And I can add another extension if somebody wants to enter a YouTube URL. And you could add one for Google Plus, for Instagram, anything you want to allow people to enter URLs for. So open a new window, set the order, and upload a featured image which will be used as the icon if someone enters a URL. Okay, so there's our profile extension set up. Back to our profile page, and we need to enter the shortcodes to display those profile extension fields. So again, I'm just going to copy across from the page on Symposium Pro. That's the Twitter and the YouTube. Copy that and paste. And the slugs match our profile extensions, which is obviously very important. And again, I'm using before and after here to make sure that they float across to the right hand side of the screen. So let's see how that looks. Update the page and have a look. We haven't got anything for Twitter and YouTube because I haven't entered a URL for it yet in my edit profile page, which I'm now going to do. So let's first find the URL for Twitter. Twitter.com/WP Symposium. Again, if you use Twitter, by all means follow us. All news that goes onto the blog is copied to Facebook group and the Twitter account. So that's that one, and then YouTube. All the videos go onto our YouTube account, which again you can follow, and if you subscribe as new videos are entered, you'll be informed about. They are also shown on the video tutorials page on the Symposium Pro website. Okay, so that's the URLs entered for our social links, and all three now show. Little bit of a spacing issue there, and that's because the order is different to as shown on the Symposium Pro site. So what I'm going to do is just copy the order where we've got Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And these I'm now going to reorder. Okay, so there we are, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I've got Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. The order is important because in one of those I sneak in 4 pixels of white space again to make sure that the icons look nice. If you change the order, you can change the style accordingly to match your site. And you don't have to float them to the right, you can place them anywhere you want on the profile page. Okay, so there are 3 social media icons added for people if they want to enter URLs for those sites, so that's great. But there's a few more fields here for users to be able to enter and show on their profile page: gender, website, and more information. And what I'm going to focus on is I'm not going to put in the website URL. You can play around because I think you're probably seeing how this works now, but I will pop in let's make sure that information is on there. So again, I'm going to copy this across just to save some time, and this is referring to a profile extension with a slug of information. And here I put in a before and after just to wrap it with a div so I can style it with a space at the bottom. I can add a label, make it bold. Oops, put that back. Making sure that I close all the HTML tags, and importantly after I close the div that starts before. So that's the shortcut in our profile page. We now have to add the profile extension for information. So I add a new profile extension called information and give a little description. And you'll notice again that the slug by default has copied the title, which is information, which matches the one I want, so that's fine. I choose the type, which is text area, set an order, and that's it. So that's my new profile extension for a text area field for more information. And they're just confirming the slug is what I want it to be. Information matches information there. Okay, so let's view the page. Don't have any information at the moment, but if I edit my profile, I can now put in some information about myself. Okay, so that's some fairly useless information about myself, but having entered it on my edit profile page, it now shows on my profile page itself. Now what I've now got to do is put in the activity. And this is nice and easy. First shortcode we'll copy across is WPS-activity-post, and this will allow people to post activity onto my profile page or indeed post activity myself. So on my demo site, I paste that shortcode, WPS-activity-post, view the page just to check it's working, and there we go. So I can now post activity to my profile page. But the activity itself is missing, which is a second shortcode, which is just WPS-activity. So I'll copy that from the Symposium Pro website and paste it into my page. Notice that I've got an option here which says don't include friends activity. That's because I have a second page on Symposium Pro for my friends activity where this shortcode is used with include friends equals 1, splitting the two. But for here I'm just going to show the default set of activity, which includes all my own activity and all the activity from my friends in one place. And there it is. There's all the activity that's going on for my account. The last thing I'm just going to copy across is just some text which informs the user that they can subscribe or unsubscribe from email notifications for new activity posts and replies. And what I'll do just for now is pop that at the bottom of the page. This uses the EM HTML tag just to make it italic, and I'm just going to change the link there so it goes to this site and not the Symposium Pro website, and just remove that style which is in place for the link. So you can put anything else you want on here, any messages you want to show on the profile page. So I view the profile page, scroll down to the bottom, and now we have at the bottom of the page that note for users. When they click on the edit profile page, it would of course go to their own edit profile page. Just to show how we can move things around now and really customize the page to what I want it to look like on my site, I'm just going to move that text and paste it above the activity post. Really just to demonstrate how you have complete control over the layout of the profile page now. And now there it shows at the top of the page, which they may see every time. If it was at the bottom, they may not. So that's just perhaps a bit more useful. And now let's just play around with the layout of that page and make it perhaps just my own design. What I'll do first, let's put the user's display name at the top of the page above their profile image, if they have in fact uploaded one. So just moving that to the top, I now have my name at the top of the page, simple as that. So you can see a complete control over the output and the layout of the profile page. What else could we do? Perhaps the member label, because it's probably very important if I've added one to a profile page, a member's profile page. I'll put it at the top. And now we have it at the top. So by using a combination of the shortcodes, the before and after options for shortcodes, or indeed any HTML that you want to use or CSS that you want to use, if you're a more advanced user, you can lay out this page exactly as you want. I've now just moved the post above the text, so that the text now sort of floats around the add post button, which I quite like, but I think there's too much text there, so I think we'll edit that. Yeah, let's edit that and make that a little bit shorter. Just remove some unnecessary words just to make it more to the point. Okay, let's try that. And yeah, that's quite nice. Again, totally up to you how you lay out all these things. In the second part of this video, we're going to look at the widget area and how to complete our profile page. But for now, we'll stop there and watch the part 2 for the widget area. Okay, thank you.